What is up, my WAP movie realists? Once again, I am Matt Mutton back for another review. That's two this week. We got a third one, but I'm not the host of it. But we'll get into that in a little bit. I am here. I'm excited. I'm going to talk about Glen Powell and Edgar Wright's The Running Man. Survive 30 days while the world hunts you down. That's right. It's a remake of what some consider to be an Arnold Schwarzenegger classic. I'm not going to lie. Never seen it. Never got around to it. And I'm a big Schwarzenegger fan. So, hey, it's just one of those gaps in my knowledge. However, I'm also a big Glen Powell fan, have been since the Scream Queen days, and I'm a huge Edgar Wright fan. So I was very excited going into this movie. I enjoyed the trailers. I enjoyed everything I'd seen. Ultimately, I had a good time. Now, it wasn't what I was expecting, and I did do my research on the novel that this is based off of. So I had, based off of the trailer, certain hopes and expectations that the original film doesn't necessarily fulfill, and I hope that maybe this one would. Now, without going into too many spoilers, if you know the book, I'm going to say specifically, I was very curious on if they do the ending. I'm not going to spoil if they do or don't, but I was satisfied, not satisfied, I don't know. But either way, with the film overall, I had a very fun time with it. Glen Powell is absolutely great. This is a star-driven film for him. Like, without him, I'll be honest, without him, this film doesn't work. Now, Edgar Wright is like James Gunn, known for his needle drops. So I was expecting those, and I'll be honest, did not disappoint at all. It's one of those things where you're like, yep, all right, I am in an Edgar Wright movie. Now, I will say this. I was a bit shocked that how little love my girl from Sinners got out of this. Why am I forgetting her name? Either way, she played Pearline in Sinners. I was excited to see her in this, and you get her at the beginning and at some parts on the journey up through the end, but not very often. Now, the general premise of this film is you have this hero whose name I honestly, or Ben, his name is Ben. And he's come on tough times. He's been blackballed for doing what's right and outing the shady government. There are these slum areas that essentially you have new dollars, then you have normal money, and new dollars are worth far more than typical money, and it's just this whole thing. Now, the government is essentially owned by the the freebie tape cable company, whatever you want to call it, called the network. And they have all these various game shows, The Running Man being one of them, another one being a trivia show where you run on a hamster wheel and they monitor your heart rate. And it's just some dark, crazy games, but ultimately you're competing for money. And the new dollars being more worth more value-wise than the typical dollars. That's what you're competing for. And like $100 new dollars can mean so much. It seemingly was like $100 new dollars is like 1,000 or more in normal currency. So it's a lot of money, even though it doesn't sound like it. But either way, I was very interested how the premise is set up. Ultimately, because he's been blackballed, the only show that he's been approved to go on because they want to take advantage of someone in such dire circumstances is the show The Running Man. And all that is set up by Josh Brolin, who's the head of the network, and Brolin eats the roll up. Absolutely loved him in this film. He was hilarious. He was shitty in a good way. Like, the character himself was shitty and shady, and you could tell what he was getting into. And you're like, all right, I only like you because you're Josh Brolin and you're making me love hating you right now. Let's be honest. And then you get Coleman Domingo, who's the host of The Running Man, and he does a fantastic job also. I love me some Coleman Domingo. But then you get a nice couple, the other two contestants of the Running Man, one played by Katie O'Brien, who's been in so much, whether that be The Mandalorian, uh, Love Lies Bleeding. I almost forgot about that one. I was like, what? She's been in Ant-Man and the Wasp. She's a well-known up-and-comer. Most of you probably saw her in Twisters last year. I love her work. I can't wait to see more of her. Just awesome. But the other member of the Running Man, none other than Martin from Please Don't Destroy, which I was dying when I saw him on screen. So those are your three contestants, and they each have 30 days to survive. They're given money for a head start, and it's hide or die, essentially. The most lethal game of hide and seek. And Ben goes through all of these just disguises and everything else to try to make it these 30 days. Now, that's as far as I'm going to get into the plot, because after we get there, we're getting into spoiler detail. However, I need to talk about my kind of positive, kind of negative, and a large reason why this grade that I'm going to reveal here in a moment is as low as it is. The pace of this film. It takes a while to adjust to. I've gone back and forth on my grade for this film, and I didn't want to split the difference because of that. Because this film goes at a breakneck pace from jump. It's go, 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 go. And you never really have a moment to breathe unless it's one of the moments that Ben is breathing. And there's not a ton of those, if I'm being honest. So I was kind of had a sense of whiplash to it. It's one of those things where you're like, well, shit. Just absolutely nonstop. Wow, 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 wow. So because of that, my original, if the pacing wasn't as big of an issue, but also at the same time not an issue, it's very weird to describe, because sometimes those moments you get to breathe last a little too long, and then you get back into it, and it's like, well, shit, I've kind of been leveled out, and now I'm just adrenaline rush right again, and it's just like, okay. So those occasional lulls and the whiplash you feel like you're feeling are why I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5. Otherwise, this might be a 4 to a 4.5 film. I might be going a total half point to a point above grade. I was borderline a 4, but the ending and ultimately the pacing are the two main reasons why I'm giving this a negative grade. Edgar Wright is a messy filmmaker, and that's part of the reason I love him. And for that, I'm never gonna really ding him, because that comes along with his style. But ultimately, Running Man is a success in my eyes, and I'm giving it a positive grade due to that. It's not perfect, but it is a fun blockbuster movie that not only it's sure is it one you could turn your brain off for, yes, but it does make you think at times, and that's what I really dug about it. So those are my thoughts on The Running Man, and yeah, with that, folks, remember to like and subscribe to everything we do over here at Watt Real Entertainment. Check out my review yesterday that dropped for Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Also, be sure to check out our sister channel, Watt Real Gaming, where our Twitch streams go to live after the fact. We just did a Fortnite stream the other night and a WWE 2K wrestling stream. So be sure to check those out and subscribe to us on Twitch. Check out our podcast. We'll be going live tonight, Thursday, for the Daily Prophet Cast, the Harry Potter podcast. Myself and Amru Moses do, and we'll be talking about what director had the greatest impact on the franchise. Because even though you could argue David Yates did all these films in it, you could argue he still didn't have the greatest impact on the franchise. So we're diving into that and talking so much more. And yeah, with that, folks, signing off. I am Matt. This was another Real Review. We'll see you next time.